They are quite literally in the walls.
What are we talking about? What is that?
Is this your intro now?
I'm so confused. I thought we were doing...
Yeah, they are in the walls.
Oh.
They're in the walls.
Kind of reminds me of the last movie we did. Inside Out.
This is Parasite.
This is just Inside.
This is, I guess, if you want to say it's Korean Inside Out, because people always say that every Korean movie is like every other Korean movie.
Another movie that involves Asians. This one specifically of my people, Koreans.
Jarvis is biased against certain kinds of movies, so we have to hit a quota.
I never said that. That is not admissible. But it's true. And he's right. And this is one of those movies that, just like the last movie we did about Asians, involves some crazy rich ones.
Yeah. Some people call this the Korean Hamlet. And by some people, I mean just me right now.
Yep, you heard it here. Korean Hamlet. A.K.A. Parasite.
It's not as funny as you think it is, Sybil. This joke was not as funny as you thought it was.
Kind of like Inside Out. It wasn't as funny as you thought it was going to be. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Are you gonna intro? Are we gonna do this thing?
Full-time movie fans.
There you go.
Man, I always forget about this until a few minutes in. It's like playing the beginning credits 15 minutes later.
Ugh. Don't you hate it when you go to a movie and you're like, yeah, I got 15 minutes of credits of a
movie?
Yeah.
And then the opening credits start?
Yeah. And then there's like, well, no, you go in and you're like, okay, it should be starting now. It's like 5 more minutes of previews.
Oh, man. I think I was like 20 minutes, like after getting popcorn to one movie, I can't remember which one, 20 minutes. And there was still like one more preview. I was like, this is ridiculous. It's getting kind of crazy up in here.
Yeah, it's too many.
With the ads in the previews.
Yeah. I get it. You gotta make a buck. I get it. But like, come on, movie theaters.
At what point? At what point does it become too much?
When it's like a $50 endeavor for us to go out to go watch a movie, that's too much.
It's too much. You know what else is too much?
How much I love this movie?
No. How I still haven't introduced this. I'm your host, Jarvis. This is Full-Time Movie Fans, and we're casually reviewing another movie. This is my co-host / just host, Michael. Who's co-host? You put in the comments who you think is who's co-host.
Yeah, who's the primary? Who's the secondary?
Who's the secondary host?
Who hosts who?
Yeah. Technically, you're hosting me.
This is my house.
But yeah. Speaking of houses and hosts, we're talking about Parasite.
Good segue.
And
actual good segue.
Can you give us?
You made it,
dude. We should just Photoshop a little me on a Segway just going across the street.
That's good. Yeah. It's only when you have a bad one though.
Yeah.
So that we have a good segue going.
Which
across.
would happen a lot. You'd see a lot of me on little Segways for all the bad ones. But Parasite. Let me ask you this, because this is a movie that I know that you actually said, I think in a previous movie review, that you didn't see the movie when the Oscars came around. And you were upset that it lost to La La Land until you actually saw it. Mm-hmm. And then you realized, wow, this movie's much better than La La Land.
So I can give you my full impressions.
Sure.
Including all of the context around my impressions.
Before you do impressions, which I expect you to do the rest of this review.
I've got a pretty
Michael
good
Douglas.
Oh, I was gonna say I got a good Kermit the Frog.
Okay, Kermit the Frog would be just as good. But and I have no idea why I said Michael Douglas.
I have no idea either.
I don't know where that came from. That was an improv myself. Anyways, can you give us some facts about the title Parasite and why this movie is named Parasite?
The title's a spoiler. The title is 100% a spoiler.
This whole thing is a spoiler if you don't know by now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're watching us and you haven't watched the movie and you want to watch the movie, you should probably go do that, because everyone dies at the end. I said it at the beginning. It's Korean Hamlet. It's not really, but like that's a spoiler in itself. Parasite it's a play on the theme of the movie, and the theme of the movie is a social commentary of the like economical problems in Korea.
I mean, I would say just everywhere. Revolving.
Yeah, but this one's very specifically
Yeah.
Korea. Like that's a confirmed one. But yeah, it's as of right now, it's doing a very good job of explaining how all of it is.
Yeah.
Especially with like
humanity.
squatting on the rise and everything too. Yeah. So the title Parasite is because
Speaking of squatting, I actually have an interesting fact about that. Being a child in Korea at my grandparents' house, they did not have indoor plumbing, so I had to squat to use the bathroom in an outhouse that was just a giant hole in the ground.
you heard it here.
Squatting is still a thing in Korea, but not in the way you think, but also in the way that you think. I'm sorry,
Anyways,
that was a poopy thing to say.
it's called Parasite because it's talking about how people see leeching off of the wealthy as a better way to get higher up in their lives.
Well, it's both.
It is both,
yeah,
and the
parasites to each
rich
other.
are leeching off of the poor by utilizing them for goods and services, so that they don't have to pay good prices for things.
Or do their own
It's
housework.
it's a very bold commentary that, you know, if done right, is really good, and if done poorly, bad, very bad. You tell me which one I think it is.
Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. That's a Brendan Lee Mulligan thing. Are you a fan of Dropout?
Yeah.
Get in the comments.
Never seen
I love Brendan Lee Mulligan. He's not a famous movie guy. He's online famous, which means something here for me.
I think we hope to be online famous someday.
I don't. That's debatable for me, but you know, we'll get there.
With your help.
With your help, you can make Jarvis's dreams of me come true.
Like and subscribe now.
Subscribe now.
For your investment in our future internet fame.
So here are my impressions of this movie.
Ask Kermit.
It came out. Oh God.
No.
So my impressions. No. This movie came out in
Several years ago.
2019. Same year that La La Land came out, and I love La La Land. Look, I'm big. That's a comfort movie for me, is La La Land, and it was very fun. I love movie musicals, especially when they hit really hard, like that one did. It's also about people wanting to fulfill their life dreams. You're right, but movie musicals. That one was a stage musical first. There's very few actual movie musicals. And this is one of them. Big La La Land fan. Watched it, I think, 5 times in theaters.
That's less times than I've seen Game Night.
Exactly. And that means something. He loves Game Night, as you know from the review. And so I went into... Oh, and it was also the same year that Joker came out. And I saw Joker in theaters, and I was like, well, this is a really uncomfortable movie, but it's also a really good like social commentary about where we are in America and how the like super rich are super rich and kind of out of touch, and how the extremely poor are extremely poor and also kind of out of touch. And so it's like...
2019 was just a year for that, I guess, huh?
I guess, yeah. And so I went into it, and I was like, okay, well, I mean... Joker was a good movie. I could see it winning an Oscar. La La Land is my pick for Best Picture. And then Joker got steamrolled entirely. And I was like, oh man, but it was so good. And La La Land got snubbed for Best Picture by Parasite, a movie I'd never heard of to that point. And I was like, well, this is stupid. This is the dumbest thing in the world. I can't believe that this is just coming out of nowhere. Yeah, the Oscars are pandering to the woke community.
They've lost all credibility.
No, and then I talked to my friend Todd, who is also a very big film guy. I met him in film school.
First name is Sweeney.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd. I almost said his last name. It's a really hard last name to say, so it would not be good for me to just dox him on the internet.
Yeah, don't put his government.
There is only one of him for sure. But I told him, I was like, man, I just really wish that La La Land had gotten. He said, no, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. This movie's so good. It talks about like income inequality and like how we treat people. And I was like, but Joker did that. And he goes, fuck Joker.
With all due respect.
This one's so much better. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went and I watched it and got disheartened that there was no English dub. I had to watch it with subtitles.
So difficult.
I know. And then I watched it and I was like,
Poor
oh my God, this movie's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I went in despising everything about it, and then I came out the other end like, this is the phenomenal movie.
Yeah, dude. Well, see, that's what we talked about. Like, Asian culture and Asian movies are now, like, becoming more of a thing here.
Yeah.
And the fact that it won at the Oscars was historical moment.
Mm-hmm.
Historical moment.
Yeah.
So.
And I think he won like 3 Oscars that night. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
And he just started crying. I think by the time that he got... I think the thing that made me so mad was he got Best Picture. And then at that point, he was like, I already said everything I had to say. I'm getting drunk tonight. And I was like, come on, dude. You won Best Picture. And then I watched the movie. Oh no. And then I watched the movie, went back and rewatched his Oscar speeches. And I was like, no, he's genuinely like the nicest dude.
He's freaking out. Yeah, he is. I know he's freaking out. I mean, what a huge... it's hard to imagine what that kind of recognition...
Oh, you keep talking. I have something on my bookshelf that relates to this.
Oh, shoot.
Keep talking.
Let's do that. Yeah. So, see, now that you're not here, I don't know what to say. It's just me. So awkward. But I'm glad that Koreans are getting some recognition for some things. There's a few like...
I have a book about it. This is the actual storyboards for the movie put to the script.
Wow.
This is how much I like this movie.
You really liked Parasite.
No, it was really good. It's really good, and everybody should buy this book because it's really cool. It does break every scene down. Let me see if I can find a good, like, color-coded, script notes, everything. It's all in there. It's super cool.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Which makes my little film nerd brain very happy.
Yes, it does. Man, that's pretty cool. I think it's very cool that that he's getting that kind of recognition for his movie. I mean, to imagine, like I said, to imagine what that's like, to get that kind of recognition in one of the biggest, like, from Hollywood. I think that's a huge flex. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's something that, for many, will never get that kind of an honor, to win that kind of award. And he did.
He did.
He deserves to get drunk in celebration.
I'm being told that my timeline's off, and I'm upset about it. But the story remains true. I didn't like it because of something. And you guys can guess in the comments what I'm wrong about.
But you were wrong about not liking it.
Yeah, I was wrong about not liking it. That's for sure.
And yes, what you said, this movie is more than just what it seems to be on the surface. There's so much subtext and meta commentary on social classism and just even in the small things. Mm-hmm. There's something deeper to be found.
So what were your impressions? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I mean the movie it's incredible. Like you talk about, I think this is something that's important for me, and you'll hear me say this in next week's video, which is going to be The Last Jedi. Is that you go to a movie? I mean, maybe you're different than me, but I think for the most part, I hope I'm not crossing the line by speaking for you in this, but I feel like we don't want a movie to be super predictable.
Yeah.
And I think that's getting harder and harder to do the more movies you watch that are older, and you see quote unquote newer movies that are just like, oh, this is that story. It's just repackaged. And depending on, I mean, it can be repackaged well, don't get me wrong, in kind of a fresher, a fresh take on an older idea. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, you see a certain movie and then you'd be like, oh, this is just this movie. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for me, I always compare the Taken movies with the Equalizer movies, which the Equalizer movies with Denzel are remakes of older Equalizer movies, and so that kind of thing has been around for a while. And the Equalizer movies are also another take on friggin' the Man on Fire that he did that Denzel Washington did way back when, and Dakota Fanning was, a young child actor. And so I would say that this movie was pretty new and refreshing to me when I saw it. I didn't immediately think, oh, this movie is that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, this is new and interesting. Kind of like the Last Jedi was trying to be new and interesting and subverting expectations.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just to subvert expectations, although some could argue that. But I would say that this was a very original story from what I could tell. Do you concur?
Yeah, I have no idea where this story came from. So yeah,
It came from that dude who wrote it.
joon-ho,
Yeah, that guy.
who wrote and directed it, by the way, is really good.
Yes.
Is it based off of anything? It doesn't say it is. So yeah,
I mean,
that was him.
There's no doubt he took inspiration from.
Well, yeah,
other
but it's not
movies.
like a direct
Yeah.
he got it from this book.
Yeah. He
Which is
wasn't
good.
remaking it from
No.
movie in the past.
No, it's all him. Hey, you look good over there.
Look real good.
Have you thought about sharing your kindness with others?
Share the love.
Maybe like the video. Click on that subscribe button. And show your friends.
Yeah, just touch it ever so lightly, that like button. Move over to the subscribe button. Maybe tap your keyboard just a little bit. Leave a comment. Bye.
That's it.